खराब होगा। उस देवा है ना, नहीं खराब हो सकता है। ये पानी ऐसे देखा है, पवित्र है ये पानी।
प्रदूषण में ये देखो ना, कितना धुआं उठा रहे, बीमारी जड़ है, पूरी बीमारी है इसमें। पूरा पानी आ रहा, पूरा केमिकल का पानी।
Stop. Have you ever stopped to consider the quality of water you drink, swim in, or you use in your daily life? Unfortunately, water pollution is a serious and growing problem around the world, with devastating effect on our environment, health, and economy. From toxic chemicals and plastic waste to agricultural runoff and sewage, there are countless sources of water pollution that threaten our freshwater and marine ecosystems. Join me as we dive into the world of water pollution to explore its cause, consequences, and solutions. From individual actions to community initiative, we can all take part in prevention of water pollution and to protect the health and well-being of our planet. Get ready to be inspired and motivated to make a difference. What is water? It is the same water that our grandfathers saw in rivers, that our fathers saw in wells and lakes, that we see in taps, and that our children now see it in water bottles. But will the children of our children even be able to see water at all? Every now and then we hear NASA or some other agency gathering pieces of evidences regarding existence of water on other planets. One of the most important reasons is that water is essential for life as we know it. Wherever water is found, there is the possibility of finding life or the conditions necessary to support life. Water is one of the most important building blocks for life, whether it is on this planet or any other planet in the future. Water, the source of life and the elixir of our planet, is a precious resource that sustains us all. From the oceans to the rivers, from the glacier to the groundwater, water is essential to our survival and the survival of all living beings. However, despite its immense importance, water is becoming increasingly scarce and polluted, putting at risk our health, our environment, and our future. About 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, but only about 2.5% of that is fresh water, that is accessible for human use. The human body is made up of approximately 60% water. The brain and heart are composed of 73% water, while the lungs are about 83% water. Water is essential for many bodily functions, including regulating body temperature, transporting nutrients and oxygen, and removing waste. Water scarcity affects over 2 billion people worldwide, and this number is expected to increase due to population explosion, increasing demand for water, and climate change. Agriculture accounts for about 70% of global freshwater withdrawals, making it the largest user of water. Many species of plants and animals are adapted to specific water conditions, and changes in water availability and quality can have significant impact on ecosystems. These data points highlight the critical role that water plays in sustaining life and the urgent need to conserve and protect this precious resource. What is water pollution? Water pollution happens when harmful substances frequently chemicals or microorganisms, invade and taint a body of water such as a river, stream, lake, ocean, aquifer, or other water sources, deteriorating the quality of water and making it toxic to both humans and the environment. The issue of water pollution is posing a significant threat to our well being. The use of contaminated water is responsible for a greater number of deaths annually than all types of violence and wars put together. Additionally, our sources of clean and drinkable water are limited, with less than 1% of world's fresh water being accessible to us. Unless we take measures to address this problem, the situation will become more challenging by 2050, with global demand for fresh water projected to increase by one third. The Worldwide Fund for Nature (WWF) has identified 100 cities, including 30 in India, that will face severe water crisis by 2050. Have you ever wondered why water is polluted so easily? Water has a unique susceptibility to pollution. As a universal solvent, it has the ability to dissolve a greater range of substances than any other liquid on the planet. This property is responsible for the creation of colorful beverages like Kool-Aid and mesmerizing blue waterfalls. However, it also makes water highly susceptible to pollution, as hazardous substances from industrial, agricultural, and urban areas easily dissolve and mix with it, leading to water pollution. Which are the causes of water pollution? Sewage and wastewater. Central Pollution Control Board in India has reported that around 70% of water pollution in India is caused by domestic sewage, which is untreated, and the same untreated wastewater is directly released into rivers, lakes, and other water bodies, which leads to a serious health and environmental problems. The problem is particularly acute in urban areas where the rapid growth of population and inadequate infrastructure have led to a huge increase in the amount of untreated wastewater being generated. Agriculture. Agriculture sector not only consume the largest part of the earth's freshwater resources, accounting for approximately 70% of earth's surface water for farming and livestock production, but it also a significant contributor of water pollution worldwide. Agriculture is the primary cause of water degradation, and it heavily contaminates estuaries and groundwater. When it rains, fertilizers, pesticides, and animal waste from farms and livestock operations wash nutrient and pathogens such as bacteria and viruses into our waterways. Nutrient pollution caused by excessive nitrogen and phosphorus in water or air poses the most significant threat to water quality globally, leading to a toxic mix of blue-green algae that can be detrimental to both humans and wildlife. Industrial and trade waste. While major oil spills often grab headlines, the reality is that consumers are responsible for the vast majority of oil pollution in our oceans. This includes the oil and gasoline that ships from millions of cars and trucks every day. Additionally, almost half of approximately 1 million tons of oil that enters marine environments annually originate from sources on land, such as factories, farms, and cities. Tanker spills only account for roughly 10% of the oil found in oceans worldwide, whereas one third comes from regular shipping industry operations, including both legal and illegal discharges. Furthermore, fractures known as ships release oil naturally from under the ocean floor. Physical pollutants. Radioactive contaminants that are accidentally released or disposed of improperly pose a serious threat to groundwater, surface water, and marine resources. These contaminants come from various sources such as uranium mining, nuclear power plants, and production and testing of military weapons. Even universities and hospitals that use radioactive materials for research and medicine can contribute to the generation of such contaminants. Let us now turn to categories of water pollution. Point source pollution. Point source pollution is the term used when pollution stems from a single source. This can include legally or illegally discharged wastewater known as effluent from manufacturers, oil refineries, or wastewater treatment facilities. Other examples are contamination from septic systems that are leaking, illegal dumping, and chemical and oil spills. Non-point source. Non-point source pollution is contamination derived from diffuse sources. This may include agricultural or stormwater runoff or debris blown into waterways from land. Transboundary. It goes without saying that water pollution can't be contained by a line on a map. Transboundary pollution is the result of contaminated water from one country spilling into the water of another. Friends, it is very crucial for us to know which type of water is most affected. Groundwater pollution. When rain falls and seeps deep into the earth, filling the cracks, crevices, and porous spaces of an aquifer, it becomes groundwater, one of our least visible but most important natural resources. Groundwater gets polluted when contaminants from pesticides and fertilizers to waste leaching from landfills and septic systems make their way into an aquifer, rendering it unsafe for human use. According to the report by the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation, around 85% of the rural household and 50% of urban household in India depend on the groundwater for their daily needs. Surface water pollution. Friends, it is unfortunate that in spite of worshipping river as a mother and goddess in our country, we are indifferent to its maintenance and safeguarding. People do all kind of activities in the river, from defecating at the river banks to releasing harmful chemicals in its water. Surface water pollution is a significant problem in India, with many of the country's rivers and lakes being contaminated by a range of pollutants. Some of the main sources of surface water pollution in India include industrial effluents, agricultural runoff, untreated sewage, and solid waste dumping. According to a study by Central Pollution Control Board, around 60% of India's water sources are polluted. The most polluted rivers in India include the Ganga, Yamuna, and Sabarmati. The impact of surface water pollution in India is significant, including spread of waterborne diseases, negative impact on aquatic ecosystem, and decreased access to safe drinking water. The Indian government has taken steps to address surface water pollution, including the Clean Ganga Mission and the National River Conservation Plan, but much more needs to be done to protect the country's water resources. We haven't spared our ocean as well. Most of the ocean pollution, about 80%, has its origin on land, whether near the coast or far inland. Pollutants such as heavy metals, nutrients, and chemicals are transported by streams and rivers from farms, factories, and urban areas into bays and estuaries, eventually flowing out into the sea. Plastic, especially marine debris, is carried in by the wind or enters via storm drains and sewers. In addition, oil spills and leaks of all sizes can also contaminate our oceans. Moreover, the ocean is persistently absorbing carbon pollution from the atmosphere, with man-made carbon emission being responsible for up to a quarter of it. Is there any way so that we can find out the water being polluted? Yes, we can find out whether the water is polluted or not by the amount of total suspended solids and biochemical oxygen demand, known as BOD, at 20 degrees Celsius, the concentration of chlorides, nitrogen, and phosphorus, and the absence of dissolved oxygen. Effects of water pollution on health and environment. Let us first look at the World Health Organization fact sheet on drinking water. Over 2 billion people live in water stressed countries, which is expected to be increased in some regions as a result of climate change and population growth. Globally, at least 2 billion people use a drinking water source contaminated with feces. Microbial contamination of drinking water as a result of contamination with feces poses the greatest risk to drinking water safety. While the most important chemical risks in drinking water arise from arsenic, fluoride, or nitrate, emerging contaminants such as pharmaceuticals, pesticides, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, and microplastic generate public concern. Safe and sufficient water facilitates the practice of hygiene, which is key measure to prevent not only diarrheal diseases but acute respiratory infections and numerous neglected tropical diseases. Microbiologically contaminated drinking water can transmit diseases such as diarrhea, cholera, dysentery, typhoid, and polio, and is estimated to cause 485,000 diarrheal deaths each year. As per the 2020 data, 74% of global population, that is around 5.8 billion people, used a safely managed drinking water service, that is one located on premises, available when needed, and free from contamination. Man's health may be affected by the ingestion of contaminated water, either directly or through food, and by the use of contaminated water for the personal hygiene and recreational activity. The term water-related diseases include the classical waterborne diseases. Developing countries carry a heavy burden of water-related diseases, the heaviest being the diarrheal diseases. Water-related disease may be classified as biological or waterborne diseases caused by bacteria and viruses, and chemical due to presence of chemical agents. Biological waterborne diseases again classified into those caused by the presence of an infective agent and those due to presence of an aquatic host. Waterborne diseases caused by an infective agents again classified into viral, bacterial, protozoal, helminthic, and leptospiral. Where viral diseases include viral hepatitis A, hepatitis E, poliomyelitis, rotavirus diarrhea in infants. Bacterial include typhoid and paratyphoid fever, bacillary dysentery, E. coli diarrhea, and cholera. While protozoal diseases include amoebiasis, giardiasis, helminthic disease include roundworm, threadworm, hydatid disease, and lastly leptospiral disease include Wills disease. Examples of waterborne diseases caused by presence of an aquatic host include schistosomiasis due to the presence of snail in the water and guinea worm, fish tapeworm caused by the presence of cyclops in the water. Chemical pollutants of diverse nature derived from industrial and agricultural waste are increasingly finding their way into public water supplies. These pollutants include detergent solvents, cyanides, heavy metals, minerals and organic acids, nitrogenous substances, bleaching agents, dyes, pigments, sulfides, ammonia, toxic and biocidal organic compounds of great variety. Chemical pollutants may affect man's health not only directly but also indirectly by accumulating in aquatic life. For example, fish as a human food. The classical example is the Minamata disease, methyl mercury poisoning caused by eating contaminated fish in Minamata town of Japan during 1904 to 1955. Another important things about chemical pollutants are some of the new pollutants are not easily removed by conventional water treatment or purification processes. In many developed countries where waterborne communicable diseases have virtually disappeared, more attention is now being paid to chemical contamination of the water. Additionally, water is also associated with dental health. The presence of fluoride at about 1 milligram per liter in drinking water is known to protect against dental caries, but high levels of fluoride cause mottling of dental enamel. Cyanosis in infant. High nitrite content of water is associated with methemoglobinemia. This is a rare occurrence but may occur when surface water from farmland treated with fertilizer gain access to water supply. Cardiovascular diseases. Hardness of water appears to have a beneficial effect against cardiovascular diseases. Some diseases are transmitted because of inadequate use of water, like shigellosis, trachoma, and conjunctivitis, ascariasis, scabies, etc. Some diseases are related to the disease carrying insect breeding in or near water, like malaria, filaria, arboviruses, onchocerciasis, African trypanosomiasis. While pollution seems to be an inevitable consequence of modern industrial technology, the problem now is to determine the level of pollution that permits economic and social development without presenting hazard to health. Before we talk about what we can do to prevent and control water pollution, I would like to quote Robin Wall Kimmerer, an eminent professor of environment. She said, "Restoring land without restoring relationship is an empty exercise. It is relationship that will endure and relationship that will sustain the restored land. Therefore, reconnecting people and the landscape is as essential as re-establishing proper hydrology or cleaning up contaminants. It is the medicine for the earth." Isn't it a part of Indian culture? We have been worshipping nature for centuries. At individual level, there are several things you can do at individual level to prevent water pollution. Properly dispose of hazardous materials. Many household items contain hazardous chemicals that can be harmful to the environment if not disposed of properly. Make sure to dispose of items such as batteries, electronics, and cleaning products at a designated hazardous waste collection site. Reduce your use of plastic. Plastic waste is a major contributor to water pollution. Reduce your use of plastic by using reusable bags, water bottles, and containers. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Be careful with household chemicals. Avoid pouring chemicals such as paint, oil, and cleaning products down the drain or toilet. Instead, dispose of these items at a designated place. Use of eco-friendly products. Choose products that are eco-friendly and do not contain harmful chemicals. These include cleaning products, personal care products, and laundry detergents. Properly maintain your car. Cars can release pollutants such as oil, antifreeze, and brake fluid. Make sure to properly maintain your car and dispose of any hazardous materials at a designated collection site. Support environmental friendly policies. Support policies and initiatives that aim to protect the environment, such as water conservation efforts. future for all. Let us join hands and make water conservation a way of life, a habit that we practice every day, and a legacy that we leave for our children and the world.